Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 71 of the Galactic Window Space Podcast. My name is Nick, and sometimes when owls are hooting and hollering in my backyard, I am known as the Orbital Alliance.
And I am Tan, also known as Chasing the Milk.
That's right, and welcome back to another episode of this Space and Astronomy Podcast. We're glad you're all here. This is an exciting night. There's a lot going on, and we are thrilled. My heart's pounding on my chest because I'm so stoked to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to be discussing Artemis II, America and the world's return to the moon, as well as some kind of in the moment happenings. Tan is if, as you guys can tell in the video feed, and those of you who are listening on the audio version of the show, Tan is not in his studio. He's in the field as we speak. Tan, live on the scene. Where are you, brother?
I am in remote Missouri, chasing Aurora. Long story short, we heard that there was chances to catch Northern Lights, so I packed up my bags, knowing that we had a podcast at 9. But sometimes you just gotta risk it. So I'm set up here. Apologies to everyone tuning in. We're a little bit late, but yeah, super excited about tonight. This is such a huge moment, and I think if I hypothetically caught some Borealis after the show, I think tonight just may be one of the coolest nights ever. So we'll see.
We're hopeful, man.
Yeah.
Rooting for you. I got clouded out, so that blows.
Ooh, yeah.
It was clear like all day, and literally as the sun set, clouds rolled in. So I don't think I saw anything at all. So I'm hopeful that it stays clear for you.
Thanks,
and,
dude.
Yeah, hopefully that it's worth all your setup and effort to go out there.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, dude, Artemis II.
Mhm.
Let's just jump in, dude. I've been thinking about this nonstop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Game
Where do
on.
we start?
Dude, yeah. Okay, so everybody, I want to know, let us know in the live chat, those of you who are tuning in live, like, have you heard of Artemis? Have you heard of Artemis II? And do you have any idea what the heck any of them are about? Because Tan and I have been discussing quite often about this topic, that this program that NASA is hosting is groundbreaking. It's pushing us further into the cosmos, and quite frankly, most people generally have no idea it exists or that it's even going on. But we're going to give you a bit of a summary of what Artemis is, the details of the missions that it's going to be, living out, executing. There's the word I was looking for. And what does it mean for us? So that's basically what the show is going to be about. So we've kind of prepared a lot of information for you. This is going to be hopefully a little bit of a very conversational go-to source for you, for your friends, for your family, for Artemis. So let's give you a brief overview of what it is. So NASA, of course, has these programs throughout history. They have the Mercury program, they've had the Gemini program, the Apollo program, the Space Shuttle program, the Space Station program. But what's next? Like what is the successor to that? Well, it's the Artemis program. It's basically the sequel to the Apollo program back in the 60s and 70s, where obviously that's the infamous moon missions, right? We put people on the moon 6 times, and it was a historic run for a while. And Artemis is the return. It's the effort to bring humanity back to the moon, not just for a visit, but to essentially build a permanent presence on the moon to perform science and exploration. So Artemis has several missions lined up. One of them was executed back in 2022, Artemis 1, and Artemis 2 is the one that we're currently going to be experiencing here, hopefully shortly within the next few weeks. And we're really, really excited about it because this one has people on it. It has a crew, and each of them is very, very skilled in what they're doing. And it's going to make this one, no doubt, very exciting. So in a nutshell, it's the next step in taking humans back to the surface of the moon. And we'll talk more about how this one is not quite that, which is why we titled the video or in the thumbnail of this stream was like, we're going back to the moon, kinda. Right?
It's true. We're not lying.
Yeah. Right.
We ain't lying.
Yeah, we don't want to be duping y'all, which is one of the things like people, myself included, you know, it's like, hey, I will be saying we'll be going back to the moon, but I think that we need to be as specific with the language as possible to help people understand what's really going on. And you know, and what's happening with this one is that we're going around the moon. But it's a critical step to getting people back like boots on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really exciting. This is you guys, like, for a lot of people like myself, Tan, I mean, probably many of you in the chat, we probably weren't alive for Apollo. Like, Apollo predated me by gosh, I mean, 21 years at least, you know, for at least Apollo 11, fewer years than that for the rest of the missions. But I've not been blessed to exist in a time where there were people on a different celestial surface, right? Oh, here's the Artemis logo. Thanks.
Yeah,
this is the logo for the mission. Very cool. Look, graphic designers are awesome. Like, look at this. Like, you got the
clean.
blue planet. You got the rocket launch trajectory, which looks fairly accurate, and it takes you to the moon. A for Artemis. The way that the letters, the negative space. Oh, dude, don't get me started. Yeah, so it's nice for all of us to finally get a chance to be a part of an era where humans are not just on Earth or in low Earth orbit on a space station. We're going to be on another celestial body in the not too distant future. So basically, Tan, don't we want to get as many people interested in this as possible?
Yeah, this is historic. It's man, I don't even know where to start. It's such a big deal, and especially now with Artemis II, like this is going to be their first crewed mission. We don't want to just like test the waters, and like we want to make sure everything works before we go back to the moon. So it's like, well, with the advancement of technology and all the things that we have now, what better way than to just test everything as much as we can? So that's basically what this mission is. It's like a pre-flight test. It's like let's make sure the thrusters work. Let's make sure we can get past the deep space radiation. Let's make sure we know how to like, eat food. So this is just going to pave the way. This is going to be a stepping stone for Artemis 3 in 2028. But yeah, this is huge. Like, this is so exciting.
Preach, dude. I think it's something to kind of help with the perspective of this. A lot of folks, I think, have sort of this understanding that, well, we've been to the moon 6 times. Can't we just go on the first try? We've had better technology, right? Like, I think that's people's general understanding. Like, the average person who doesn't follow space stuff or know like how rockets work, or you know, kind of what's been happening for the last 50 years in science. But I think there's so much to that, and obviously the infrastructure and the people who were working on those programs back then don't exist. Like the manufacturing, the engineering, the math, everything is different. So we've reconstructed a brand new program from the ground up. There's, you know, modern day people, the machinery, the computers, the technology, the innovation, the infrastructure, the materials, the budget, everything is different. And we do need to repeat those steps. And especially while there are people aboard, we need to make sure that, you know, protecting life is like the ultimate priority. So Artemis 1, the uncrewed launch just a few years ago in 2022, was a success. And they learned a lot from it. They got a lot of data without having to risk the life of real people. And now that we have that data, hey, let's do the same thing, pretty close to it, and stick some people on that and make sure that works. Let's test the life support systems. Let's make sure everything is peachy keen there. And then once that's, okay, we got that situated, now let's take the next step. There's no rush for exploring the frontier. But, you know, it is exciting. And sometimes it's hard to not get too excited. And to hope for, you know, everything right up front. But I'm deviating a little too much. See, I'm excited.
No, it's good.
We mentioned last week. Go ahead, Tan. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, finish.
I was gonna say, I was like, last week we talked about you're gonna be going to see this
Yeah,
event.
yeah, that's coming up real quick. It's becoming more and more surreal every day. I think. Now that we're just like what 3 weeks, yeah, I think three
It's like
weeks from going back to the moon.
yeah.
It's super exciting. Ron in the chat says I was alive and it was exciting. I feel like what you felt, like in the 60s and 70s. So this is huge for me. And I think as the date approaches, that feeling is going to be just probably overwhelming. But yeah, I'm super excited.
So with the Artemis program, of course, yeah, we were talking about Artemis 1 doing uncrewed, Artemis 2 sticking a crew on it and doing a flyby around the moon, Artemis 3 inserting the rocket into lunar orbit and landing a crew on the surface. And then Artemis 4 continuing that legacy and establishing a more routine lunar base of some sort, doing even more boots on the ground exploration with more equipment. This timeline is uncertain. Even Artemis 2 is delayed. This is not when it was supposed to go. I think it was supposed to go a long time ago. But that's just the way things are. Budgets are thin. There's a lot going on in the world, and it's kind of delaying things. But within the next 10 years, I think we'll see Artemis 4, and that's kind of the pace that we're on here. I hope it quickens, but the commercial zone, I think, or industry will take over, I think, after a while. And that's another topic for sure. But all that to be said, there's 4 missions, one of which is done. The second one coming up now. Now is the time to get excited, I think, about exploring the moon and learning that innovation is not something that we need to put on the back burner. Exploring for the sake of human exploration is such an exciting thing. And Artemis 2 is gonna be the next chapter of that story. So I guess that leads to the question then, like, where the heck do we leave off with Apollo? And what are they gonna be doing? What who's going up there? We got all these questions, dude. So, like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Man, well, I mean, let's just talk about the core purpose of Artemis. Like it's just to get more data, and it's to make sure that we can send humans. So why don't we start with like what they're using? Like how are we getting up there? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the SLS.
Mhm.
This is going to be like the biggest rocket. I forget how many pounds of thrust, but this is going to be what's taking us up there. And there's a few different things to talk about, but yeah, like this is the beast. This is what we're going to be seeing here in just a few weeks.
Right. Yeah. So if you guys are familiar with past launch vehicles and launch systems, SLS, which stands for Space Launch System, they were very creative with their nomenclature, as you can tell. It looks kind of like the big brother of the space shuttle in a way, right? There's a big orange fuel tank in the center. It's got 2 solid rocket boosters, or SRBs, on the side. They are different propulsion systems. And then on the top, there's a capsule. Unlike the space shuttle, where there was a winged aerodynamic spacecraft mounted to the SRBs and external fuel tank, the Space Launch System is a little bit different, a little bit more efficient, and far more on the same bones version of it, which is kind of cool. But yeah, Tan's right. And mouse, that'd be a screaming eagle flying through the atmosphere as it launches.
I'm just a heads up, guys.
So, yeah, there it is. This is our. Yep.
I'm having some connection problems. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
Okay. Yeah, Tan, I believe you are streaming over Starlink. Is that correct?
Correct.
Nice. Okay. Yep. So we might have experienced a few like delays or slight lag, or just because Tan's in the field. So you guys appreciate your patience with any of the tech stuff, but we'll get there. So yeah, this picture that we're showing here was Artemis 1. This is on the crawler as it was taking out to the launch pad. I remember being down at Kennedy Space Center years ago and doing a tour. You can see the gravel on the ground there. It's like a 3-mile path from the vehicle assembly building to the launch complexes over by the coast at Kennedy Space Center. And I remember them talking about how they have to have specific kinds of stones underneath there because this is however many millions of pounds of supplies and metal crawling very slowly. It's like 1 mile per hour or something like that at the most, like top speed.
Jeez.
It's totally fast and the furious. But they said they have to have specific stones on the ground because they can't spark. Because as the pressure from the crawler treads press down, the rocks get pressed together, and certain other rocks could spark, which could create a fire. And obviously, you have a giant bomb on the top of the crawler there. Last thing you need for those SRBs to get ignited from some random spark, or some chain reaction and to blow up this whole thing. Would be an absolute nightmare. So just a fun little fact I had to insert there as you're looking at this picture that we're showing. They have to think of everything and mitigate every possible bit of infrastructure, potential infrastructure problems, that is.
Yep. There's a really cool photo of Artemis 1 and the moon.
Yes.
Yeah, this was really cool.
Yeah, the Artemis 1 mission, I remember following it and getting all these images that was, downlinking to us. And you can see, right, they had like a camera mounted on either on one of the solar arrays or on some kind of arm that extended. And it got these beautiful shots of the moon, which feels like there's an astronaut taking snapshots. This is what people are going to be seeing with their own eyes, right up close, this celestial body, this beautiful gray orb, craters and rocks. Very shortly, it did, I think, a couple flybys of the moon on Artemis 1. So it was like 2 different flybys. It was like a close up and a long, like it went a little bit further out. So I mean, just imagining, dude, Tan, what do you think? How would you feel if you saw this with your own eyes from this perspective?
It would be pretty crazy. Yeah, it would be pretty surreal, man. It would be pretty cool.
Right. I mean, you and I have seen it through a telescope how many times in our life, and it probably would never cut it. It would never compare being this close in real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the SLS for Artemis 2 just rolled out to the launch pad on Saturday this past week. So that was the 17th of January, 2026. And here it is. This is an image from NASA. Rocket on the crawler. Let's just combine the two and call it a rocker. Sounds good to me. But you can tell there's actually a fun little detail. There's a couple actually. Here, let's throw up the original. Look at this is Artemis 1. Look at the SRBs, the white rockets. Oh, we lost Tan. They're switch over here. Oh, the data is not switching. Let's see. Oh, getting a little bit of lag. How's it going, everybody? Hey, I need to get some input from you guys in the chat. Am I still live? Let me know in the chat. I appreciate your support here. It says I'm still going live, but I am getting quite a bit of delay on my end. Hopefully this is not hindering it for you guys. Yes, I see a yes. Okay, good. Thank you guys. Apology for the delay. I'm experiencing some lag on my end as well, and we lost Tan. I'll keep you updated on him. But anyway, here we go. The SLS Artemis 2 has markings on it. The NASA worm logo is on the side of that. And then above it, which is going to be very difficult, especially if you're watching this on a phone, there is an America 250 because 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the United States being an independent nation, which is very cool. Nice little touch, kind of a little bit extra patriotism, something to be proud of as we continue our legacy of exploration and science, which is awesome. Let's get back here. You're live and my audio cuts out. Okay. Thanks, Ron. Hopefully that smooths out here shortly. Keep me posted on the quality. Karen says, I see ya. Hey, Karen. Um, thank you guys so much for the inputs. Seriously, though, keep me posted. I'll do my best to troubleshoot on the fly as we go. I'm getting contacted from Tan right now saying that he may or may not be able to rejoin. So I might be flying solo here for the rest of the show tonight. So I mean, I'm going to do the best I can to keep the program going. Quality is still good and looks good. Everything sounds good and looks good. Nice, despite lagging. Okay. Nice. Okay. Great. Well, let's carry on, everybody. Let's keep the show alive. Looking here. So here, Artemis II. It's going to be great. So it's slated for a February 6th launch, and I will say that it's going to be a very tentative February 6th. Artemis 1 was delayed by weeks because there were some issues, like while it was on the launch pad. There was weather. I think it got damaged from weather, and they had to repair it or something. They had to actually roll it back into the vehicle assembly building. So that stuff can happen, but especially as long as there's humans on board, there's a crew. This mission is going to be very, very protected. I would anticipate that February 6th is not going to be the date that it launches, but we're all hoping that everything goes smoothly. And I know the crew and the support, the mission control support, and all the technicians that are working are very prepared to shift the date as often as they need it to make sure that this rocket launches into space correctly and safely, or in the space world as they use nominally, a nominal launch, everything works correctly, right? So we're hoping for it. But here's the Artemis 2 logo, the mission patch for it, kind of following in line with the greater program scheme here, that arcing red trajectory line. But this time it's from the perspective of the moon, right? Because this is where they're going to be looking back. And guys, I am so excited to not just see the moon up close, but to be able to look back at the Earth through the eyes of the astronauts that are going to be on this mission. We all know the famous Earthrise image and some of those television broadcasts from the Apollo missions. Like, this is going to be our chance to look back at our home in high definition from all the way out there, to be able to see the Earth, go behind the moon. Hopefully they're able to get that shot. This is going to be our reality, right? Absolutely amazing. But I did see a comment in the chat here. Who was that? Who mentioned that the SLS looked a lot more like Apollo than the space shuttle? And I agree. The verticality of it looks more like the Saturn V, which I'm going to put up on the screen for you guys here. This is the Apollo rocket. You guys kind of see that similarity. Perhaps maybe it's more of like a combination. Like SLS is space shuttle plus Saturn V rocket kind of melded together, and we kind of get this, on it's on Apollo 11. Of course, we had people on the moon, which is cool. Going all the way to Apollo 17, similar perspectives, but we have a little lunar rover there. Quite a bit of epic history with the Apollo programs. But let's see here. Let's talk about the crew. Let's do that, because we want to know, like, who are the people? Like, we all know Neil Armstrong, we all know Buzz Aldrin. Maybe if you're really into it, Michael Collins, who is also on there. This is the crew for Artemis 2. Here we go. So let's do a little bit of a get to know you section here. We have Reed Wiseman, who's the commander, experienced NASA astronaut, and also was the chief of the astronaut office for a couple of years, not too long ago. Victor Glover, who's the pilot. Christina Cook, who is a mission specialist, and Jeremy Hansen, who's also a mission specialist. So they're going to be occupying the 4 seats in the Orion capsule, which looks a lot like this. This is the Orion capsule from Artemis 1 in space, actually from the perspective of the ship, with the moon and Earth behind it. How insane is that shot? Like, let me tell you. So that little silver capsule kind of in the front is the Orion capsule where these 4 crew members will be. So let's revert back here. So you guys, there's a lot to be excited about with here. Let me see. Can I get can't fit my face over this. A lot to be excited about with this crew. A lot of firsts. Okay. So let's just kind of go down the line of what we're going to be experiencing relative to the crew. So first, we have some kind of like demographic firsts. The Apollo program in the 60s, obviously it comes from a different era where, people are a little bit less diverse in some of these settings with, science and employment. It was kind of a different time. But now here we are, we're in a much more open and diverse world, which is awesome. I'm so glad that we're able to get some more representation on missions like this, historic missions. So we of course have Victor Glover, who will be, the first African American person to be entering lunar orbit, and then we have Christina Cook, who's going to be the first woman, and Jeremy Hansen, who's going to be the first international partner. He's from Canada, so he's a Canadian astronaut, and very much long overdue for a space flight. So Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Cook are going to be experienced. They're experienced astronauts. They've flown for NASA before on the International Space Station. Jeremy Hansen, I believe this is actually his first space flight, but he's an experienced astronaut, in training. He's been in the program for a while. So we're going to be experiencing a lot of these firsts, and it's just a win for everybody. Like really, like genuinely, it is. The more that we can inspire people of different backgrounds, the better. Like humanity wins. And look at what we're doing with 4 seats. It's like you have 4 seats. How can we best represent all of humanity, not just one demographic? And that was kind of what it was in the 60s, unfortunately. But here we are. Like this is a huge win for science, for humans, and for space exploration. So I think we should all be celebratory of that. And it'll be very cool to hear their perspectives, and to watch even more children and adults alike get fired up about seeing, maybe, hey, that person is more like me, and I can identify with that person who went to the moon. That is so cool. So W's for that, for sure. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the trajectory, you guys. I'm going to pull up an image for you all, and show you exactly where they're going. Actually, wait, no, hold that thought. Hold that thought, everybody. Got a couple more shots. Let's show the crew a few more times. I got a few more pictures here. They've, of course, been training for a while for this. They were selected a couple of years ago. And like I said, these guys are already, aside from Jeremy Hansen, they're all flown astronauts. And they have been training specifically for this mission for a while now. And I think it's kind of hard to wrap your head around what that means. They don't just like get in the rocket the day of and hope it works. These people train constantly in different scenarios, both in the capsule. They don't just learn, hey, what are all the buttons in the ship? They have to learn life support, survival, engineering, photography, and image capture, every possible mechanical system. They have to learn how to manage diet and medical emergencies, all things that they'd be doing anyway, but now they need to focus on, hey, how do we do this when we're very far away from Earth? Because if there is a medical emergency aboard Orion, you're kind of up a creek, if you know what I mean. With the International Space Station, you could be back on Earth within a matter of hours, same day. If there's a problem, either a mechanical problem or a medical problem, with Orion, you're going to be 3-4 days away, and you have to trust your crew to kind of solve a mechanical problem or medical issue, etc. Look back to Apollo 13. Most of you have probably seen or at least heard of that movie that depicts this story, but there was an explosion of an oxygen tank on that mission. They were supposed to land on the moon, but they ended up having to scrub that portion and just go around the moon and come home. But they had to kind of piecemeal their way back to survive, and they did, which was great. But we want to avoid that. So we train these astronauts to be able to fix everything and everyone to their best of their ability. So like I was showing here, this is a picture of the crew. It looks like they're with the chefs and the scientists that kind of work in the culinary arts, because they have to practice eating the food and make sure it's edible and tastes good. For their mission, they get to select their food. I'm sure just like they do on the space station. You can see they test their suits and make sure everything's functioning. They get familiar with it. And here on the crew walkway, the arm that is on the top of the launch tower that walks them out to the top of their rocket, they practice those walks and the ingresses and the egresses in and out of the spaceships. Those are kind of the technical terms. They make sure every bit of the mission is rehearsed, not just once, not just twice, over and over and over again. They do the spacewalks in the neutral buoyancy lab underwater. They make sure that they've taken apart stuff and reassembled it, with their eyes closed a bunch. That's part of what being an astronaut is rehearsal, rehearse. They even rehearse the walk from the ready room where they suit you up all the way to the astro van, which drives them to the launch pad. They rehearse that walk. They practice the waving for the media, even though there's no media there. Every little thing. They don't want any part of this mission to be done for the first time on launch day. So they have to do these things constantly. Astronauts are very calm and practiced, and they know what happens when something goes wrong. Hey, that alarm, I've seen that go off 25 times in a simulator. And I know exactly what all the possible solutions are because I've rehearsed it over and over and over again. Or hey, I don't know. I need to wonder which seat I'm sitting in the craft because I've sat in it and it's perfectly formed to my body and they've molded it for me. It's a pretty interesting situation for them, and they're not just going to go up and do flips and have fun while they're doing this. They're trained professionals. It's their career, and I think every single one of these people who've been selected for the mission knows exactly what they're doing. And I'm very confident that they're going to perform phenomenally. I'm excited for them, quite frankly. Check this poster out too. They made these really cool promo shots. I mean, come on, dude. Does this not look like a movie? Artemis II, 10 days, 685,000 miles around the moon for all humanity. We either need Morgan Freeman or Liam Neeson to read that. But it's a cool poster. Again, graphic artists for the win. Yeah, pretty awesome. So, oh yeah, here's another thing. This is also helpful for them to train in is, like I said, egress, which means getting out of the capsule or getting out of the ship. Water survival and how to actually get out of the ship once it lands, because the Orion capsule will land in the ocean and a crew will come collect them, in a raft and take them to a ship. This is, again, they're practicing it in the pool. What is it like to open the hatch? How does it feel like? How does it feel in the hand? How hard is it to open? What is it like to get through that port in a spacesuit, not just out of a spacesuit? What is it like to get it through it with a helmet? Can I turn my head? How much room do I have? Is it comfortable? They know all those things. They've done it 100 times. What happens if you fall in the water? They practice it. What happens if your crewmate falls in the water? How do you support them? All those things get solved, and it is, yeah, they put it in the work for sure. Yeah, this is gonna be great. Orion is interesting because it does closely resemble the Apollo command module, doesn't it? That also landed in the water. But however, the Apollo module had 3 seats instead of 4. So the Orion module is much more up to speed with the SpaceX Crew Dragon, which also lands in the water and has a capacity of 4, which is cool. It's basically the modern number. Keep in mind too, the space shuttle took 7, but remember that's more like a plane. And the Russian Soyuz can take 3. So just for some comparison numbers, but this was the Apollo 1 capsule after it landed uncrewed in the water. It has those buoyancy balloons on top to help keep it afloat. Very cool. You can see it's weathered from the re-entry process. Speaking of which, to get back, they have to fly through the atmosphere at blistering speeds and have a heat shield on the bottom to protect the ship. This is the crew working on a heat shield for the Orion craft. You can kind of get a human reference there compared to it. Very, very important and critical piece of equipment in order for them to survive re-entry. Very, very hot temperatures. Very, very, I would say it's cool, but it's not. It's the opposite of cool. I don't have Tan to laugh here, so here we go. Oh my gosh. Let me check in with the chat, guys. How are you guys doing? I feel like since Tam is here, I have to kind of stay focused on the graphics, and I'm not paying attention to you guys much. I apologize, but welcome in, folks. Just want to say hello to some of the people who are joining us live here. We've got Blue Eyed, who's modding for us. Thank you so much. Hello, Jinxie, Alex D joining in. 018 Night, what's happening? I see Joe. Rich Jones, welcome in. Good to see you. And we saw Karen, Chris, you're back here too, Jersey Starman, and Ron Colson, of course. So many good friends joining in. We appreciate you guys. You guys make it so much fun to be here live every week. Oh no, take those buttons away from him. Oh, come on. You don't want me to go to Taco Bell? What's up, Becca? How's it going? One of our other mods in the chat. Shout out to the mods for sure. Okay. I know I jumped ahead earlier. Let's circle back. The trajectory, the flight plan. Let's take a look, you guys. Here's a full screen graphic straight from NASA showing exactly what's going to be happening. And I actually have an animation that I'll pull up here for you guys in a second. But let's take a look at the still image first. Artemis II, first crewed flight test to the moon since Apollo. And you can kind of see the SLS over by Florida there on Earth. And it's going to follow those numbers in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go back around planet Earth and do a full lap around the Earth following sequence number 5, 6, 7, 8, if you can read that at all. And then it's going to accelerate the Orion capsule out of Earth orbit, low Earth orbit, and into cislunar space. You guys like that word, cislunar? Ooh, giving me chills. That's the space in between Earth and the moon. And you can see the Orion capsule by point 10, transition to point 11. It's going to go behind the moon, which is going to basically create like was it a free trajectory? Is that what they call it? We're not necessarily going into moon orbit, lunar orbit. That will be Artemis 3. But it's going to swing behind the moon once and then accelerate that and uses it as a boost to slingshot us back around to point 12 and point 13, where it will re-enter, coming back around the Earth and land in the Pacific Ocean by point 14 and 15 over there. I do see another detail here. Mr. Tan has returned. Tan, are you back? Can you hear me? Oh, he's muted. I can see you. I can't hear you. Nope, not yet. Your camera's sharp though. Take your time, man. I'll carry on. You let me know when you're good. Here, let me show you guys the what did I just say? Let me show you guys the video here. Here it comes. So there's a little glow. Can you guys follow that glowing light? Pretend that's the Orion capsule. And it's going to fly around planet Earth once, accelerate and boost using gravity to assist. Oh, I hear that slurp. That's the Orion slurping, isn't it?
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, this is where we're at? The orbit?
This is where we're at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, we'll let this graphic repeat here for you guys, but let's start with the Orion coming out of Florida, or the Artemis SLS launching. It's going to separate its SRBs and eject the fuel tank, that big orange tank. It's going to have a second stage, which is going to propel the Orion capsule to a higher orbit. It's going to go further beyond where the International Space Station is. It's going to launch around the Earth again, accelerate, go to the moon, swing around, use gravity to push it back to Earth, and then it's going to swing back into the Pacific, right by California and Baja California. So if you guys want to keep watching it, it's fun. It's cool to see.
Did you guys talk about like what they're doing during this time, like focusing on like critical systems, like support, communications, and etc.?
We have not, and that is the perfect time to talk about it. Do you want to jump in and give us the rundown?
Yeah. So basically, this is the perfect time to kind of like test all the important things. Again, this is kind of I don't really remember where I left off before I got cut out, but we are preparing for landing on the moon, like Artemis 3. So during this time, we're going to be focusing on life support, comms, communications, navigation, deep space tracking. A big thing is radiation too. There's like so much. So there's going to be strenuous tests on the heat shield, and especially during re-entry too. I forget how crazy hot it gets. But all of these things is like what they're going to be doing during this little orbit. And it's pretty cool because like, I don't remember what it's called, but like, since we're going to be in that orbit, even if something were to happen, we could just safely use the gravity just to get back to Earth and it's actually what we did with the 13. So
Mhm.
yeah, pretty cool.
Um, I'm seeing, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but a rough search off the top of the internet here is saying that the temperatures on the heat shield will reach approximately 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
That sounds
Um,
right. Yeah, it's pretty
so yeah,
gnarly.
yeah. It's about half the temperature of the surface of the sun, apparently. So that's what we're dealing with.
Yep. But again, it's just during the flyby, it's just the perfect time to test all the emergency procedures, radiation protection, and all the experiments, everything that we need to get us ready for 2028. So pretty cool, super exciting, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty
I think what
stoked.
one of the coolest things to kind of like lens us to look at this through is that the crew, obviously they're operating the spacecraft. There, there's a pilot, there's a commander, the mission specialist, they have tasks. But let's also learn from what we're already doing in space and have been doing, since we sent Yuri Gagarin up in 1961. That every single astronaut, cosmonaut, they're essentially lab rats. They
Yeah.
are very actively and intentionally offering their bodies up as test subjects. And is that dangerous? Absolutely. But they know that and they train for it and they prepare in a certain way. They also acknowledge fully that it's their kind of contribution to humanity. That if they can do this, four people can do this, and see what radiation does to their bodies or what it's like to be in deep space for a certain amount of time. That's going to help us understand and prepare and mitigate problems for future space flights, and quite frankly, inhabitants of future celestial bodies like the moon, Mars, and hopefully the moons of other planets, and beyond. We just don't know what this can be. And people are going to be thankful for people like Victor Glover and Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen and Reed Wiseman for taking these first steps to offer their bodies up as kind of lab rats. So we're going to see what happens. And they're going to take notes. NASA's going to take notes. CSA is going to take notes. That's the Canadian Space Agency. It's cool, and I'm grateful for it. But we've been doing it on the space station for such a long time too. They are constantly measuring their eyes and their bone density and their diets and seeing how living in space and weightlessness affects them. So nothing new. We're just doing it in a different place now.
Yeah, this is huge. I kind of got this like haunting chill whenever you said lab rats, because like, yeah, like in my head I'm like, okay, well they're obviously doing this to test, but yeah, that kind of just gave me like a really weird haunting, like, man, they literally are sacrificing themselves. They know the risks, they know that, you know, hopefully nothing happens, but there's still a chance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I mean that's why we're doing this. That's why we had Artemis 1. Every time we have these programs, we're just getting one step closer. And this is huge. It's been decades since we've been back. So if everything goes well, that just means the next time around it's going to be that less stressful maybe, but you know, we're just dialing things in, and it's such an important step. So yeah, this is absolutely huge.
Tan, you said something a second ago, mentioning about like if something goes wrong. I can't remember how you worded it, but it was kind of along those lines. Maybe we weren't planning to talk about this, but I feel like I should insert a little, bullet point here. We've been talking so much about how they prepare to solve problems, mitigate problems, but problems can happen. The unexpected is still there. Murphy's Law, if it can happen, it will. And we know from space flight already that problems can happen. We look at Columbia and Challenger, Apollo 1. There's a lot of examples of disasters in human space flight, human space exploration. So I'm not certainly wishing it by any means, but just like NASA, I guarantee you there's been hours and hours and hours and hours of discussion between all the people who work on these programs about, hey, what does happen if this happens? What if we have loss of life on the crew? What if we lose the vehicle? What if there's a disaster at any one of these points in the mission? What do we do? They're prepared for it. I myself don't know what those procedures are. Um, and obviously, if any sort of tragedy happens, like I and all of us will be devastated. It will be a horrible loss for not just America, but for the world, or Canada. Um, but we have to understand that these people who are working on it and who are on these crews, they prepare even for what happens when there's loss of life and tragedy. In past missions in the space shuttle era, and even now on the commercial crew program, where SpaceX is taking astronauts from American soil, every astronaut they get like an astronaut buddy who volunteers to be like family support. So Tan, let's pretend, for example, you're an astronaut. You're going to be on Artemis II, and maybe I'm another astronaut in the astronaut corps. I would be assigned to you to be with your family while you're gone. So I am kind of their chaperones and their support leading up to the mission. I'm a point of contact. Your family would know that I'm like a really good friend of yours, trusted friend. I'm knowledgeable about what you're doing. And say, for instance, there was a RUD, as they say in the space industry, a rapid unscheduled disassembly, aka an explosion of the vehicle, and Tan, maybe you perish in the explosion. I am now the first point of contact for support for your family. Those systems like that are in line. There's somebody there to care for people, and there's all the plans are lined up to take care of what happens next. And there's of course recovery of debris and all those things. We've had to do that before, so not to be again a downer, but it is part of space exploration and it has happened. So in the event of a tragedy, like, it's not like what do we do? Somebody's thinking about it. NASA has thought about it, and there will be ways to kind of carry us through. But I'm not going to stick on that too long. But I thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah. No, it's a very valid thing to consider. But fortunately, we've got a lot of like redundancies. The first thing I can think of is the launch abort system. It's called the LAS. It's that little thing. I don't know if we have a photo of the Orion capsule, but it's a thing that goes on top. And if there's a serious problem during launch, they can use that. And it's an abort tower. It can instantly pull the capsule of where the crew is, and it can deploy parachutes. So like, I don't know, it's a valid concern, but I'm very hopeful because there's like multiple backups for life support, power, communications. So like, I guess what I'm saying is like one little failure doesn't mean a whole mission failure. And like one thing that's really cool is I mentioned this earlier. They have this free return trajectory basically. So like once they're headed to the moon, that path that they're going around, it's designed so that even with no like propulsion, they can still make it back safely to Earth. So yes, there are risks, but I just feel like we did a really good job of having all these redundancies so that we can safely make it back home. And again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but that's why we did Artemis 1. And 2 is going to be paving the way for 3 and so on. So, in theory, every time we do these, we're just getting more and more better at making it to the moon and back safely. So, dude, super scary to think about. They all know the risk, but I'd imagine they're pretty confident that communication, mission control, everyone's kind of like got their back basically.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so well said. And dang, like they have thought of everything.
Yeah, dude, we're smart. Like we don't know everything, but we're pretty dang smart. These guys have been doing this their entire life, and like even the 4 astronauts on there. If you have we talked about them yet or no?
Yeah, we did go over the crew. Mm-hmm.
All of them have like the coolest lives. Like they've been doing so much. You know what I mean? Like compared to the I guess the average human being. So these guys we're pretty well equipped. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, dude, you're like bursting out of your seat, and I love it. Yeah,
I'm also like an optimist too. So like just to kind of like recap, yes, there are risks, but we have figured out so much. We have so many like backup plans, basically, and I'm pretty confident that it'll be successful.
Me too. I have a lot of high hopes for it as well. especially with how well Artemis 1 went. Honestly, if there was ever going to be a catastrophe, it probably would have been on that one because it was an unproven vehicle. This is now a flight proven vehicle. And like I said, anything can happen, but I think the risks are far lower this time around, which is great. It's really good news. That's why we do it.
Yeah, agreed. Like we know that it's going to be crewed this time, so I'd imagine everyone is triple, quadruple checking. Like we have to. There's just no room for error. It just can't happen. So, yeah, I'm super excited. We should talk about how to watch it, dude. Like there's gonna be all hundreds of eyes, probably thousands. I'd imagine people are gonna be flocking to the site, and everyone's gonna want to know how to watch. So, like, yeah, let's dive into that.
Yeah. So we give a brief snippet of that at the top, but let's give you the official details. So you guys here, I'm going to put up an infographic for you all. Artemis 2 is going to be launching February 6th, hopefully 2026. That's less than 3 weeks away. We put all the times respective to the American time zones here on the graphic. So 10:41 p.m. Eastern time, and then each hour adjusted respectively for the time zones all the way to the Pacific. So clear your calendars for Friday night in 2 weeks, because that's when it's going to happen. Hopefully. Again, be prepared for what they call a scrub, which is where if there's a problem, either with the vehicle, the crew, or weather, that they will scrub it, and they will be very, very cautious with it. They will be live streaming the event. NASA will be, of course. So you can tune in them. I know there's going to be a lot of other content creators. I know Everyday Astronaut is probably going to do it. NASA Spaceflight's probably going to be there. There's probably plenty of streaming sources to choose from if you can't make it. They will be launching from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, which is, of course, where NASA has historically launched from. They'll be launching from Launch Complex 39B. The most famous launch complexes for humans are 39A and 39B. SpaceX currently has 39A. That's where they launch the Falcon 9s with Crew Dragons aboard it. But 39B is like they take the same road there, and then it kind of splits, it forks. 39B. Take a look at Google Maps. You can see them. You can see that 3 mile road. I think it's 3 miles all the way from the VAB, the Vehicle Assembly Building, to 39B and 39A.
I'm hoping I'll be there, man.
Yeah, Tan's gonna be like just a few miles away. Yeah, Tan's gonna be like right up next to it, and it's gonna like blow him away. He's gonna fly.
I'm gonna be on it, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be the fifth astronaut.
Who knew you could be skitching on a rocket, dude?
Yeah.
Space.
All you hear is
China #1.
Yeah, it's super. Wait for it. Nice.
Oh, wait, did you do one?
No, I don't have one on this setup. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I figured that's what we were going to be hearing as you're flying away, but
yeah. So like, I mean, there's going to be plenty of places to watch the feed. NASA is probably going to be the biggest one. I'm going to try streaming it if that's a thing. But yeah, they usually do like coverage about 2 to 3 hours before the launch. And again, these dates are like tentative. Word on the street is this one's probably gonna get scrubbed, but there's also like a window of the dates that if it does happen to get delayed, you can kind of like plan ahead. So if you're someone like me who doesn't live anywhere nearby, and you're wanting to like fly out or maybe drive down there, it's good to know to have some kind of backup plan, because there's a good chance that you may go down there expecting it to launch on the 6th, and then they're like, hey, you know what? It's going to be next week. And then you're like, oh, my hotel is going to go up. My rental car is going to have to get extended, and all these little things. So just know that if you do plan on going out, just plan for those. Yeah, I think that's all I got on launch day.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Totally. So something to consider if you are down in Florida and you do want to see it, in person. You will be able to see it from quite a ways away. It'll be just a glowing streak because, of course, it's going to be at night. So you'll see this giant line, this little energy ball soaring off into the night until it goes away. But there are some key typical spots for viewing rocket launches But I don't know exactly which of those spots will be available. I know NASA will probably lock down Merritt Island, for uh, quite a ways. So you might have to watch it from Titusville or the surrounding area, maybe up the beach. Playa Linda is usually a typical spot. But I don't know how close they're going to let people get. So just if you're down there, be prepared for packed sidewalks, cars parked along every possible street. It's going to be busy. So people are going to be fighting for real estate. Hotels, I have no doubt, are booked all the way up right now. It's going to be a bit of a congested area. So be prepared for traffic and busyness, congestion. But even if you can get your body, just walk a couple miles and you can find a spot. I'm sure you'll be able to see it. And you just got to hope for clear weather too, because if there's a cloud ceiling, they could still launch and it might go right. There were space shuttles and stuff that would do that. They'd launch right into the ceiling of the clouds. It would glow, and then the glow would just dissipate. Those were my favorites. I love it, right? I loved watching that.
Cool. Yeah. I want to mention this real quick. Jersey Starman says, get your reservations in now. We'll be booked soon. I feel like they probably already are. I feel like we're 3 weeks away. We're probably past that point. But you never know. Like in other words, like if you haven't done that, if you plan on watching it, do it now and be prepared to pay a little more. You might experience some sticker shock, I would imagine.
Oh yeah. You have to know that the Space Coast businesses and hotels, they know exactly how this goes. They've been doing it for decades. And they're going to capitalize on it. You're going to be paying a premium probably. But I mean, if you want to witness history, right? What's a additional fee?
Yeah.
Yeah. And to that we say,
shut up and take my money.
Yeah. So again, you can watch it in person, you watch it live. Let me see here. Do we forget any bits and pieces? Let's just show a shot of what it looked like of Artemis I launching. Here we go.
Dang, look at this thing, dude.
This was a couple years ago.
Wait.
It was also a night launch, and this is a perspective from the ground. Tan and I were talking about this. I've seen 2 rocket launches, and they are so bright.
Yeah,
they are ridiculously bright. You can't even imagine. Like when you have a birthday cake. You can look at the candle fire, right? You can look into it and it doesn't sear your eyes. You can even look at a campfire, doesn't do anything. Like this is like a million billion sparklers, like all at once. So even at nighttime, it's gonna be that much brighter to your eyes. So be prepared for how bright, especially if you're doing photography. You're gonna want to have a very, very dark exposure because in the pitch black, the intensity and the luminosity is going to wreck your exposure if you're not prepared for it. So, but you could get cool shots like this, pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. This is going to be my first time. I'm excited to hear the sound, the rumble, the brightness, just everything in between. And I believe NASA has like a nice little guide for you photographers that want to shoot it. Like if you're anything like me, I've been kind of just stressing out on what my settings are and everything. So there's like there are very specific guides on like certain launches too that will give you kind of like a template or like a rough idea of like a starting point for your settings. So just know that's available too. And I'm sure there's tons of resources you can find from pros who know how to shoot. Oh, this is cool. Okay, Jersey Starman says, all my photographer friends regretted not putting daytime ND filters on their streak shots. So many overexposed it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I have to imagine with the magnitude that SLS, puts on, like the show that it's going to put on compared to say a Falcon 9, way larger, huge, arguably some of the largest fire under a rocket that's ever been at play here. So yes, I would have never even thought about putting a neutral density filter on my camera at night. That sounds crazy, but this is what you got to do. And the pros will tell you. That's a good tip. That's a really good tip.
Yeah. I want to add one last thing. For me, so this is going to be my first time ever experiencing a launch in general. So I feel like I'm going to be pretty spoiled. I'm hoping to catch some beforehand, but Dude, this is just for me. It's not just a flight. It's like what am I trying to say? Like the emotional weight is heavier than the rocket. We're sending people into space, dude. I like this is my Apollo era, right? Like I wasn't born yet, and for me, this is just so freaking exciting, dude. I can't express how surreal this is. Just um, I don't know. Like it's crazy to watch movies about like sci-fi movies, and to fantasize and think about all the cool things. Maybe one day we can make it up in space, and we're doing it here in just a few weeks.
Dude, yeah. I have so many thoughts. One of which is my hope for Artemis is that following the Artemis program, whenever the day that it gets discontinued or canceled, which it will at some point, just like every program, is that we don't have another gap between our moon landings and the next program. And I don't think that it'll look exactly the same. Obviously, with the commercial sector kind of jumping in and innovating and pushing the boundaries with that, I think they'll take the baton and the pace will quicken, versus the government sector with these programs that we've historically known. But my hope is that we don't see another 50-year gap. My hope is that we don't see a 5-year gap between the next moon landings. So like Tan, you and I, we never saw Apollo. We didn't have a chance to see a moon landing until now, or to see a moon mission. Although you could argue that we should have been seeing moon missions our entire life so far, but we should have been born in a moon faring era, but we weren't. And my hope with Artemis is that in this next chapter that, my daughter, the kids who are in elementary school now, the kids who aren't born yet, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, the same gap between Apollo and now, 50 years, 54 years, that they grow up in a moon-faring, moon-exploring era, and they never get to say, yeah, I didn't get to see the first Artemis launches, so I don't know what it's like for humans to only be on Earth. I only know what it's like for humans to only be on Earth. I've never seen them on the moon. I've never walked around knowing there's humans up there. Like, I want it to be normal. I want it to be regular and common, and that's really my hope for it. And I guess isn't that maybe the whole point, is to regenerate, revitalize, invigorate the human spirit of exploration. It's required. It pushes everything further. No, it's not just about doing flips on a spaceship and being a goofball in space and, drinking water bubbled up floating in front of you. That's part of it, but it's not the reason. The reason is to build new engineering structures and innovate new technologies that support and benefit all of humanity, like right now and into the future. We already do it, but now we can do it even better. And I think it's going to happen. And it's cool to watch. So as many people as can get excited about Artemis 2 so that we can get to Artemis 3 and beyond, the better. So my push to you guys in the chat really is get excited. Watch the streams, look for the pictures, share those things with people that you know. While you're at work, I don't think a water cooler is still a thing. If there's a water cooler at your office, like, hey, did you guys see the Artemis launch last night? Did you see this picture? Here's the Earth from the moon, like from behind the moon. They just put this was taken yesterday. Like, do those things. Tell your family at a family party. Don't just, you guys can talk about the Bears losing another time. Like, talk about the moon. We're going to the moon. That's what it's all about. And then people will start getting those seeds planted. And maybe you'll hear one of your niece and nephews at a party go, wow, that's cool. Maybe I want to be an astronaut or a rocket engineer. That's how those things start. And if those people start practicing things, their careers build, they take humanity to the next level. Now we can advance medicine or, help create the next communication device for people. Maybe we'll be maybe I'll be able to send you a thought immediately instead of texting you. I'll just be like, Tan. Exactly. Right. That might be because, a kid right now hears you talking about Artemis and they get inspired to pursue science or engineering. You just don't know. So this is the time to be alive. And I know there's all these problems on Earth, but we need to also focus on what's exciting and why it's worth living and, choosing joy and exploration. That's my TED talk.
Damn, dude. Well said. There's so many things going on in my head. Where do I start, man? I love what you said about thinking about everything that's going on, because that's probably like the big thing that people think of is like, why are we going to space when there's people starving, or insert like the million things. But I feel like when the world's divided, dude, these programs, Artemis, it's proof that humans can still come together and do something extremely difficult. And it's like the most human thing we can do, is to explore, where there's like so many benefits, so many technology, so many things benefit from space exploration. And like going to space doesn't solve like every problem on Earth, but it reminds us that like humanity is still capable of wonder, cooperation, and honestly hope,
Let's exchange worry for wonder. What do you say?
I'm in. Let's do it.
Dude, I'm in. I'm sold. Sign me up.
Also, I think there might be Aurora right now. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go outside after this and check it out. I don't know what the heck's going on. Can you see anything on your live shots?
I don't have any live shots right now.
Okay. No worries. Well, you guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. We appreciate you listening to our huge breakdown of the Artemis II mission and the Artemis program. Humanity's return to the moon. It's a W for all. That should be the slogan. Artemis. It's a W for all. Huge win. This is gonna be an exciting time. Let us know in the chat. Leave a comment on the video. And if you're listening, hop on over to YouTube and let us know what you think. Are you excited for Artemis? What about it is getting you amped? And again, share it with a friend. And if you heard this too, and you think, hey, maybe somebody would benefit from the podcast, be sure to share the link to the show with them so they can get up to speed before February 6th. We're coming right around the corner.
That's right.
That's right. Any last thoughts, Dan?
No, man, I'm pumped. Thank you guys so much for being so patient with me with the tech problems. I hope you guys get excited about Artemis. I hope the people you tell about Artemis gets equally excited. This is huge. This is beyond huge. So let's keep on crossing our fingers and hope for a successful mission. And let's go back to the moon, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, all. Thank you so much for tuning in live or listening after the fact. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was just slipping right in the door here. Alex D dropping in 5 gifted memberships in chat. So shout out to you.
Thank you so much, bro.
Shout out to him, and shout out to those who picked up a membership in our live chat. That is one of the super fun ways that you can support the podcast and help us keep us alive. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Dude, 5 subs is crazy.
Super grateful. You guys, we'll be back next week, January 26th. Oh my gosh, we're already at the end of January. Whoa. What are we going to do, man? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
We'll be back for episode 72 of the Galactic Windows Space podcast, bringing you more fun and exciting space news topics, space, astronomy, everything in between. And Blue Eyed here dropping in the chat. Aurora Borealis tonight. She put some beautiful tips for how to photograph. So if you're paying attention and you're outside looking for Aurora and you have your phone, this is exactly what you can do to get that perfectly exposed shot for yourself. No, you don't need a pro camera. You can do it with your phone. It's awesome. Appreciate it, Blue. Cool. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week, episode 72. We'll see you all on the other side.